Rich Roll. It's just overwhelming to think that any human being could do 5 triathlons in a row. Who can do that? I mean, I know you can.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
It's almost like you want to stutter.
I don't know that I would do it again, but yeah, we did. Just for people that don't know, I did in 2010. I did a buddy of mine and I did a thing called Epic 5, which was my friend Jason's insane idea of trying to do 5 Ironmans on 5 Hawaiian islands in 5 days. So we went from island to island to island doing an Ironman a day, trying to get it done in 5 days. It ended up taking us a little bit longer. We did it under 7 days and ran into some mechanical problems and unforeseen delays, but it was quite the adventure. It wasn't a race, it was more like the amazing race. You know, we were doing it together, and there was a lot of crew support and, you know, kind of third parties that we needed to help us, because the logistics are just as daunting as the actual physicality of it, because you've got to complete the Ironman by a certain time every day, because there's only so many flights off, you know, these tiny islands to the next island, these little hopper flights, and then you got to schlep all your gear and your bikes and all your food and all that kind of stuff. So it was quite the experience. It was cool. It was really, really, very, very cool experience.
What was the hardest part, right in the middle or toward the end?
The hardest part, the hardest day was on Maui, which was the 4th day, where all of this, the biggest challenge was the sleep deprivation. It was sort of, you know, we could get through the Ironman, which for people who don't know, that's a 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike, followed by a marathon. So, you know, we could kind of plod through that, but, you know, the slower that because we weren't racing, we weren't going as fast as we can, but if you're not, the slower you go means the less rest you're going to get, right? So the sleep deprivation, we started only getting like a couple hours of sleep every night, and by day 4 we were like delirious, like we could barely focus on the road, and we're in this beautiful surrounding, and, you know, incredible scenery all around us, and, you know, all I wanted to do was like lay my bike down and go sleep in the bushes.
But you had maybe another 100 miles to go.
More than that, actually, yeah. And Maui, we ended up going all night, almost until dawn, and I remember running the last part of the marathon through these pretty close to where they were burning cane fields, and the sky was this incredible orange, and there's this acrid plume kind of, it was a bizarre, surreal scene out of like Apocalypse Now or something like that. We're running with our shirts on our faces to try to not inhale the fumes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was quite, it was something.
So when did you have time to eat?
Well, we eat while we're riding. We eat as we go, you know, so we're eating on the bike.
Which is a logistical nightmare to begin with.
Yeah, well, we had crew vehicles kind of following us that had all our gear in it, and they would, you know, hand off bottles with liquid nutrition in it, or they prepare sandwiches and hand them to us on the bike. So we're always eating, and you know, with that kind of thing, you know, there's only so many calories your body can absorb per hour, and that's less than you're burning, so you're ultimately running a caloric deficit. No matter what you're doing, you're always falling behind. So when we finished that day, it was just, you know, eating as much as we could to try to, you know, sort of repair that for the next day and be able to come
Talking
back.
about repair, how long did it take when you finished? Did you stay on the last island for about a month?
I stayed there for a couple days. I really just needed to sleep for a week. That was it. But one of the interesting things about it, and I talk about it in the book, is that because we finished Maui like in the wee hours of the day, because of all the logistical problems and issues we had, you know, we didn't finish Maui until almost dawn. So obviously we weren't going to immediately go to the next island and start on, you know, 0 sleep. We had to take a day off and start the next morning. So we got a really good, we went to the big island, to Kona, got a really good night's sleep that night, and Kona has some nice, you know, natural food markets, and we could finally eat, you know, some good vegan cuisine for a change. And I got an extraordinary night of sleep that night and woke up the next day feeling completely fresh for the 5th one, like feeling like I hadn't done anything all week and I was ready to go. Like I was completely revived, and it was a very potent sort of example or reminder of just how resilient the human body can be. It was almost like my body said, oh my God, like, why didn't you tell me this is what we're trying to do? Like, now I get it, I understand, like, okay, and I'm responding accordingly. Like, just give me a little sleep and some clean burning, you know, plant-based foods to recover a little bit and you'll be fine. And so the final day, the 5th day, I felt I mean, the only day I'd felt better on was the first day. So
wow.
It's pretty amazing what the body can do when you treat it.
And you mentioned plant protein. So just a few of the kinds of foodstuffs that you use to stay strong during
everybody asks the protein question. You know, the truth of the matter is, and you know this, is that, you know, there are plenty of plant-based foods that are high in protein. So I eat a lot of legumes, a lot of beans, a lot of quinoa, dark leafy greens. A big staple of my program is blending drinks in the Vitamix blender, which is like my best friend. So I always try to put, you know, spirulina, which is the highest protein content by weight of any food on earth. It's a complete protein. I always put that in my drinks post-workout.
And for those who don't know, could you say it slower and a little bit about it?
About spirulina. So it's like a blue-green algae, you know, and it comes in liquid form. I think you can buy it in powder form too. I don't know. I usually get it in liquid. So I put that in my smoothie blends. In the balance of things, I eschew most supplements. I think when I first became vegan, I was worried about all the things that everyone talks about, not getting enough protein or nutrients or what have you. So I kind of overdid it on the powders and all the, you know, supplements and all of that because I was concerned. And then over the years, I've kind of weaned off of those just to see, you know, how I would do, and I found that I do just fine. You know, when I'm training really hard, or of course during something like Epic 5 or the Ultraman race that I do, you know, I'm placing gigantic demands on my body, so of course I will use some plant-based protein to repair myself, and it's usually a blend of like hemp protein, pea protein, and sprouted brown rice protein.
So you mentioned your book, so I would like to find out more about what that's like. Is it about your experiences at Title, so on?
Sure. My book, which just came out a couple weeks ago, is called Finding Ultra, Rejecting Middle Age, Becoming One of the World's Fittest Men, and Discovering Myself. And it is...
And okay for women to read it too,
of course, yes. I mean, I will say a couple things. I mean, it's predominantly in the genre of inspirational memoir, but of course there's plenty of how-to and you know, concrete takeaways. I've got 55 pages of appendices on plant-based nutrition, you know, how I do it, a day in the life of what I eat, and all sorts of resources and websites and other books and the like, where people can go to learn more, and plenty woven into the narrative about, you know, how I did it wrong and the mistakes I made and how I do it right now, etc.
Those aspects can be so valuable. So many books will just tell you what to do, but then they're kind of left on their own abilities to make the mistakes, and then fear that maybe this isn't good enough, I can't do it, this is not right, I'm not doing it right.
Right,
you know, so.
Right. And also, you know, just to address this, like, you know, I'm 100% plant-based, 100% vegan, and I go and quite frankly, as a result of changing my diet in this way, I believe that it's paved the way for me to be able to do all these crazy endurance races in middle age. You know, prior to that, I was a junk food junkie. I changed my whole life when I was 40. But, you know, just because I'm 100% vegan and I do these insane races that no one else seems interested in or wants to do, you know, it's very...
But you have a point to prove.
Yeah, I can stand way out on this, you know, on this extreme, you know, end of the fulcrum, and just to show that it's possible. And everything, all the tools that I convey in the book are all very scalable. So, you know, if you're reading it just because, you know, you want to be inspired to do your first 5K, or you want to just lose a little weight and look better in a bathing suit, all of the sort of principles and tools that I apply to my life are equally applicable to anybody. So, check out the book.
What prompted you to go vegan, plant-based?
What prompted me to go vegan was that as I was approaching my 40th birthday, I was very out of shape. I was overweight. I was about 50 pounds overweight. To qualify, I was never an obese person. I wasn't, you know, I look at pictures of me from back then, of which there are not many, and I look like a lot of guys who are 40 look. You know, I had a gut, and, you know, my face was kind of more round or whatever. So by today's standards of obesity or being overweight, you know, most people might not even think that I was that overweight, but certainly, you know, I lost 50 pounds and I've never felt better, so I would consider myself to have been very overweight. But more importantly, I felt horrible. You know, I had terrible energy. I was very lethargic, depressed, sluggish, and just really, you know, didn't feel tapped into life.
And not good being a father of 4.
No, and I had been a swimmer in college. I knew what it was like to be fit and what that felt like. And but when college swimming was over, that was kind of the end of my athletic career. And you know, like most men or people, it's sort of like, okay, now I went to law school and it's get the best job and climb the corporate ladder and got married and had kids and like who has time. And I never really considered fitness or health to be really part of my life balance equation. And at the same time, you know, denial is a very powerful thing. Like I carried this sort of idea that I was this fit college swimmer. You know, I'd look in the mirror and I'd see the 21-year-old version of myself and convince myself or believe that I still looked like that or that I was still that guy. And as I was approaching my 40th birthday, it kind of all caught up to me. Like I had one sort of epiphany moment where I was walking up the stairs late at night to go to bed, and my family was asleep, and I'd stayed up late watching late night TV and eating cheeseburgers on the couch, and you know, just got winded going up a flight of stairs, just like literally like buckled over, and I was like, you know, 39 years old, like what is going on? And you know, kind of for the first time, it snapped that denial. I looked in the mirror and I saw clearly like what I had become, which was very different from that 21-year-old swimmer, and realized that I needed to do something about it, that I needed to change. And you know, I think those moments, if you get them in life, are powerful. They're things that you need to pounce on right away, because if you don't act on them immediately, they kind of wane, you know, and then they're gone, and then you know they might not come back again. And I'd had an experience like that 10 years prior. I struggled with alcoholism my whole life, and I had kind of a moment of clarity where, you know, I was ready to get sober and kind of walk through that door. So I knew how to recognize those moments, you know, those kind of urgent moments where, you know, you have an opportunity to change, you have a sort of fleeting willingness to do something about it, but if you don't, it's gone. So luckily I kind of grabbed onto that and decided I was going to make a change, and my wife, bless her heart, had always been very health conscious. She wasn't vegan at the time, but she's very into alternative healing and Ayurveda, and she's a yoga practitioner and a yoga teacher, and very active in meditation, and you know, always kind of exploring ways to better herself spiritually, physically, and the like. And that was great for her, but that was never kind of my thing, you know. It was always. But
what a partner to have when you decide it's time for you to.
So when I was ready, I could say, like, I really want to do something. Can you help me? You know? And
what is her name?
Her name's Julie Pyatt, yes. And she's like, yeah. Like, I don't think she believed me. Like, she had done like a 7-day fruit and vegetable juice cleanse before, and I said, I want to do that. Like, will you help me do that? She's like, okay, I'll get the stuff. And then she didn't, you know, and I had to remind her, like, are you going to get it? And she's like, yeah. But I don't think she believed that I really was going to do it. You know, like, she's very detached.
And now she's living with your whole new life.
That's right. I mean, she's come from, you know, she understands me very well, which is, you know, she can't get me to do something. I have to, you know, somebody has to want to change. You can't make somebody change. And finally she got the stuff, and I did do this 7-day kind of detox cleanse, which was never something I would ever have previously considered. You know, I'm a very scientific mind, and I'm like, detox? Well, what exactly am I detoxing off of, and how is, you know, drinking juice gonna, you know, have any impact on that? Like, it doesn't, where is the science to back that up? So I kind of always brushed it off, but, you know, I was willing to kind of get outside my comfort zone and try something new and set aside my misgivings or doubts or what have you. And I did this 7-day cleanse, and the first couple days, I felt like I was back in rehab, buckled over on the couch moaning, you know, like I was, you know, weaning myself on heroin or something like that. It was awful.
But it is you knew right then that it was a thing to do.
Yes, of course. And then the kind of cobwebs started to clear, and by day 4 and 5, you know, I had a resurgence of vitality that I did not expect, and quite frankly didn't think that my body was capable of. Like, I felt fantastic. I was bouncing off the walls. Had so much energy. How is this possible? I haven't even eaten any food. I feel phenomenal. Like, the body's ability to kind of, you know, it's incredibly resilient. You know, after I had abused it so long with a, you know, rotunda of, you know, fast food forever and alcohol abuse and the like I just had not treated my body very well. The fact that it could respond so quickly to being treated properly was pretty revealing and eye-opening. And so, of course, you have to go back to eating food when this is over. So I thought, well, what am I going to do now? Like, I feel good. I want to continue feeling good. I would like to lose some weight. You know, I didn't have any grand designs on being an athlete. I just wanted to feel better.
And look better.
Yeah, look better, of course. There's vanity. But I wanted to be able to experience my children at their energy level and, you know, enjoy them and just kind of feel good again. And so I thought, I wish I could say I'd read a bunch of books, you know, and decided, you know, I will be vegan because clearly this is the way to go. And, you know, that's not what happened. Instead, I just sort of, without a second thought, well, why don't I try being a vegetarian? That sounds healthy. And in my mind, because I know the way my brain works, being, you know, in addiction recovery, it's sort of like you're drinking or you're using drugs or you're not. Like, there's a kind of a line in the sand. It's a very black and white thing. And I felt like I needed that. I needed to be able to define my nutrition in a similar way. Because if I was to just say, I'll eat better, I'll clean up my diet, I'll go to the gym, it's too vague. It's such a non-specific concept that it wouldn't work. Like, maybe I would for a couple days, but I'd be back to my old habits. So I thought, well, vegetarianism is something I can wrap my brain around. It's like you're eating meat or you're not eating meat. You know, it's kind of like you're drinking or you're not drinking, right? So I did that. I started doing that, but it was not very long before I was sort of, you know, tweaking the definition, you know, because you can eat Domino's pizza and French fries every day and you're a vegetarian. You know, there's no connection to being healthy.
Yeah, you could be a junk food vegan.
Yeah, of course you can. So just because you're vegan or vegetarian, it certainly doesn't mean that you're eating healthy or, you know, that you're doing what's in the best interest of your body. So I kind of played that out for 6 months, and of course I didn't really lose any weight. My energy levels plummeted again. I didn't feel good, and I was ready to just bag it and say, well, I tried, and I'll go back to, you know, guilt-free cheeseburger eating and just write this whole thing off. But I thought, well, I'm halfway there. I wonder what would happen if I got rid of the processed foods and got rid of the dairy products. You know, I've kind of taken this first step. Let's take maybe the harder next step. And my wife encouraged me to do it, but I almost did it as a dare to show her that it wouldn't make any difference, because I think I wanted to plant that seed of resuming my old ways. So I had very low expectations, but I gave it a go. And much like the cleanse, you know, a week into doing this, I experienced that vitality that I had felt when I had done the cleanse. Like, it was the first time that I had felt as good as I did during those latter days of the fruit and vegetable routine that I did when I first began. So I immediately realized that there was something going on here. And again, like, I just happened into it. It wasn't like the result of reading a book or undertaking any study. So.
But you were really following your instincts.
Yeah, I was sort of following yeah, exactly. I was sort of, you know, I was listening to my body, and I thought, oh my God, like, literally, like, I had so much energy I could barely sleep. You know, my sleep was all messed up, and it's like, what is happening? And that was the point in time where I realized, okay, well, now let me undertake a little study and see if I can figure out what's going on here so I can do this right, because there's definitely, this definitely seems to be a path worthy of pursuing. And my return to fitness, which at first was very modest, was really a response to just needing an outlet to burn off all this added energy so I could literally sit down and, like, focus, because I was like, you know, vibrating. My body was vibrating, and again, there was no big plan of, like, I'm going to go off and do these crazy ultra races or whatever. I just was enjoying the process of being fit and my body feeling good once again, and one thing led to another, and before I knew it, I was able to go out and run like incredible distances off very little training, and realized that I had an aptitude for this kind of thing, but also was very conscious of what an important role vegan nutrition was playing in repairing my body and fueling like my ability to undertake these
And it
things.
sounds like it became part of your spirit too.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I think that true health isn't just physical. You know, true optimum health is when spirit, mind, and body are completely in balance. And I found that by eating a vegan diet, eating a plant-based diet, I feel much more spiritually grounded. I feel more in unison with my environment and my body. And I feel like I can trust my instincts more. It's weird. I mean, not to put too new age a spin on the whole thing, but you know, so. It has been very much a spiritual journey. And the book, you know, the surface level.
Would you say the name again?
Of the book, Finding Ultra, Rejecting Middle Age, Becoming One of the World's Fittest Men, and Discovering Myself.
Now you see why I asked you to say it again.
Yeah. The, you know, kind of a surface read of the book is, here's a guy who, you know, stumbled into middle age, overweight and unhealthy, and decided to adopt a vegan diet, lost a bunch of weight, goes off and does crazy endurance event. And that's fine, and it is about that on the surface level. But really, and I hope that this comes across in the book, is it's much more of a spiritual journey, like a return to the heart, you know, like a return to a more authentic way of living in alignment with one's soul purpose, really. It's about finding that thing inside you that you always wanted to do and determining a way to unlock it and unleash it. Whatever it is, like, you know, Ultraman and Epic 5 are just metaphors for whatever that dream deferred is that we all have that, you know, life seems too busy to ever attend to. It's interesting because throughout the process of finishing the book and all of the kind of responsibilities that have come with like marketing it now, you know, in the last couple of weeks, I haven't been able to get out and train as much as I'd like to, and so I get grumpy, you know, and she's like, I don't want to talk to you until you go out and ride your bike or you know, run. I like you much more when you're doing that, you know. So.
But how does it feel, in conclusion, to be inspiring so many men and maybe even women to embrace what you've found?
It's a gift, you know, what can I say? It's phenomenal, you know, to even know that I've touched one life is amazing. And, you know, it's certainly not a feeling I get as a lawyer, but it's validation and very powerful feedback for this idea of what happens when you sort of take a leap of faith and tap into your heart. You know, when you have that thing inside you that's saying, I think that this is right for you, you know, and all indicia or societal constraints are telling you not to do that. It doesn't make sense, it's not logical, or it's irresponsible or whatever, to say, no, I believe that this is right for me and I'm going to move in this direction even though it's scary or it's different or people don't understand or whatever. To walk that path as a warrior, you know, you have to be a warrior spirit to do that, and come out the other side, and then have people go, and then have people be inspired by that. I mean, is there any greater gift, you know, on earth? You know, it's very, it's an incredible feeling. Yeah.
That's wonderful, Rich. Thank you so much. I think you get your name honest. You're rich in experiences and what you can contribute to everybody.
Thank you.
So I thank you so much for being part of my book.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to talk to you.